Hey everybody, this is Mr. Lindner with Mr. Martinson. We're here today to give you a virtual tour of West Rapids Elementary. Hope you enjoy it.
Let's head on in. Front door service. So one thing we noticed right away in our new schools is that although there are doors and they look as if they're open, this is one of the first lockdown areas. So we do have to buzz ourselves in to go into the main office. Geraldine and Karen are working in there right now.
This is a big upgrade from our other buildings that didn't have secure entrances, especially at Southwest and even Murphy, where you walked in the building. Once you were in, you were in. One neat thing about our new offices is once you're in the office, you also have to get buzzed into the school. So once you enter the office area, you are in the office area until you're buzzed into the actual school. So that's a new safety item as well.
So we'll use executive privilege. Give kind of one sneak away, or one tidbit away from the lighting on the ceiling as I listened to one of our custodians talk about how they work. The lights down the hallway farther, they're not burnt out. They run on sensors so that the lights turn themselves down based on the natural lighting. So if you're in a dark area like we are right now, the lights are on at full blast, so to speak. But then in the middle where that sun is coming through, those lights are not as bright because they don't need to be. So as you walk in, on the right is our office, and the left, behind, and I don't know all the fancy terms, I just call it sweet glass. Behind that sweet glass is our cafeteria.
One thing you'll notice on the glass, you'll notice throughout the building in the North Woods theme. If you look, those are actual branches or trees, and that's a theme that's throughout the whole building.
It's recording. Unless I get really lazy with the editing. This might end up in there right now. You get really lazy with the editing. One of the rooms as you come down our main corridor, on the right is a pantry. It's still in the works, but behind that door, there's a washer and a dryer. There will be, think of it like a mini food shelf from Second Harvest. And I know we were talking today with somebody who's donating backpacks, and my thought was they'll be in there and ready in case kids need extra things. So there's the pantry on the right.
At the old schools, we would have some limited food, but Murphy had a food pantry, and Southwest of Forest Lake would have to go get food, so it's nice having a food pantry in both elementaries.
Yeah, we were definitely spoiled. Down the center of the main corridor, and hopefully Clayton, you'll remember some of the fancy names. I don't. It's like colors. Red is red, blue is blue. I don't remember they have really nice names for everything. But the main hallway, as we're walking down the corridor, way down there at the end of the hallway is when you get to enter into the classroom wings. But right now, think of it, anything past where my finger's pointing to, that's the teaching and learning end. We do have teaching and learning on this end too, but in front of that line, which is another lockdown line, we have other areas of the school in which the community could use after hours. Probably hear us say flexible seating and flexible spaces quite a bit.
Collaborative spaces, you hear that a lot.
Which as we go through, this is an active construction site, so there are still people working. How about we take them to the cafeteria first? They probably don't care as much about the teacher's lounge and everything. So this is the cafeteria, although you can't quite see it. One of my favorite new words is the servery. A place in which we serve food coming from the British. So if and when we get bored, we can drink our milk with our pinkies up as if we're having fancy high tea.
We're always building our kids' vocabulary.
Yeah. I did remember what they called the ceiling in here because I picked it up at one meeting. The clouds.
It's clouds, and I believe the one meeting I was in, it's also to represent branches in a tree. So if you're in the forest looking up, you may see angled lines like that, like it is a canopy of a forest.
Probably an odd time to work this in, but if we sound muffled, it's because we're both wearing masks, and part of it is we're going through this tour, we're standing in the same space for quite a bit of time. You may have watched some people walk through earlier without masks. The gentleman earlier that's working construction, he's working alone, and he's not by us. So just like we talk with kids that wear face coverings during the day, just because we've said that we wear them all day does not mean that there won't be times during the day where we take them off, which hopefully that came out correct, in the sense that there will be times that we take the masks off during the day. It just depends on the situation and what's happening. I can see us definitely using this space even during the day for programs that projection screen drops down. But even the community use standpoint of it, that the space becomes much larger.
One thing I've been telling the community when they come through on a tour is the space here is going to be great for assemblies. And we also have purchased a movable stage that we're housing at the bus garage, that we can bring a stage here to the cafeteria servery and actually have assemblies here in our here at the school. And it's movable, so we can also take it to the gym as well if we want to have a larger assembly in there.
So that giant shape there on the floor, that's actually one of the panels for the operable wall in the main gymnasium. So the gym itself is two high school level basketball courts, correct? Isn't that what you'd say it?
2 full-size basketball courts.
Music room kind of hiding behind the door here that we can peek in a minute, I'm sure. Water fountains with the bottle fillers, and we've talked about having water bottles this year, which we still plan to use. What you'll see though is we'll be a little bit more careful about who can fill and when and how. Language. I don't know if this is an East Coast thing. I was told by the guys working, those are not fountains, those are bubblers.
Oh, yeah.
You heard that? They're
That's
bubblers.
East Coast, yeah.
Yep, East Coast. And for those of us that are really old, yes, you can still put your hands on the different parts and make them squirt farther. But we won't teach the kids that. So the gym, they're actually painting it right now. Oops. We won't go in there right now. They're putting the lines down, they're painting, it's getting the second coat right now. So although I enjoy basketball, I'm a little bit jealous there's not more soccer in here.
If you'll notice all the lines on the floor, we have lines for foursquare, volleyball, pickleball, basketball. So it's a multi-use venue for multiple sports, which is great. And they're both full-size gyms, like Mr. Martinson said, so we can host community events, tournaments in our brand new space. It's going to be really great.
One thing that you probably wouldn't even believe would, like, we're not kidding, we didn't have storage really. We had storage for equipment in our old gymnasiums, but not much. So I mean, there were years that there really wasn't equipment you could buy because you couldn't store it anyway. So behind that wall, there's actually more storage space for our gym equipment, which is a definite win. Wonder if we can peek in this music room. We'll live with the bumps. So we've had music rooms in our schools, but never rooms that were designed for music.
Yeah, so you notice as Mr. Martinson pans around the room, this room is designed to have sound bounce off the walls. So it's not a rectangle, it's not a square. It's actually designed so it's for our music room. So they have high quality sound when they're playing instruments or singing. That's a really neat feature. For example, the Southwest, the music room was the old stage of the gym. It's just added on space over the years. This is designed to actually be a music room.
And the old Murphy, now here comes the history lesson at 318. So the old Murphy music room was the original kindergarten from when it was built in the 50s. And before that, she had to kind of hop, skip, and jump around the building to different rooms. So we've had music programs, but never really music rooms. And I worked the line in when I talked to our two staff members in this program. I was here when the walls were being put up. I guarantee you they're not kidding when they say they put different insulation in this end just for the sound. I don't know, they can probably tell even at home listening to this because
It's different.
the sound in here is much, much better. I did pan down to the carpet a minute ago. A lot of the rooms have the design where some of our spaces are built in, so that big blue circle can actually be used for circle time. Granted, this year we can't fit as many kids on there, or we have to have a much larger circle.
When I was here yesterday, Miss Kopic, this is her room, she had little dots around the room where all the kids were appropriately social distanced in music, so they can have activities in here and they can sing with their masks on in here. It's gonna be great.
She might actually still have that up on her side. I think what I'll do is I'll just keep running it, and I might not even edit this at all when we get back. We'll just let everybody scroll through it.
Yeah. This is Miss Copper's room here, I think.
Oh, this is Heidi's.
Oh, is that?
Oops. You get thrown off because if you go through the back doors for the storage area.
And the dots on
Yeah.
it.
These rooms are connected with a music storage area, which is nice because again, we can actually purchase equipment for our music department when you have a space to actually store it. So similar room to the other side. You can't see all the notches on the right there, but you can see that she's been working through. And really, I'd say pretty much everybody's been trying to figure out how do we at least start in an in-person environment and do the best we can with spacing and social distancing. And there's a pretty concrete example of spots on the floor here. Nurse's office. Well, in the nurse's office, I don't know. Boy, at Murphy, that used to be, it was like principal's office before, and then it was part of a workroom before, and
Yep.
there was enough for a desk and one cot.
That's about what Southwest was
Yeah.
too. It was small.
And now there's 2 bays separated by curtains. There's storage. There's a place to actually store.
We actually have a shower
Yeah.
in there for students or any, that we need a shower. There's a shower in there.
I think that's the part, I guess I hope most people wouldn't know that we needed that because they don't realize how bad some kids have it sometimes of, like sometimes we do need to wash clothes in a washer and dryer or backpacks. Media center, a little bit harder to tell what's in there right now, more because the actual space it's storing a lot of the furniture for the areas that aren't quite ready in other areas. I don't know if this works for you, Clayton, or Mr. Lindner. One thing I had used the example of is, you can go through, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
We told them it's a working construction site. That this is more like the Barnes & Noble approach of those nano walls or the metal type doors. Those open up and go out. You guys can go through, thank you.
You know what my good side?
Yeah. So that wall actually opens all the way and spins out. I shouldn't say spins out. I'm thinking I'm going to turn the camera here. Actually more of a flexible seating area that comes across the hall. I'm remembering more terms, the living room.
Yeah, the living room or the hearth they've called it.
Yep.
And one of the neat features of this is having that nano wall open during the day. It expands this area here. We're going to have collaborative space here, collaborative space here. So it really turns our media center into a whole space here across the hallway where it's more of a spot where kids can be together and work and read. It's a really neat feature you don't see in schools much.
Another space around the corner. Yeah, let's head back there. These doors are actually out to the west end of the campus, and this would be the bus drop-off. So our kids that ride the buses to and from school, that traffic is now physically separated from parent pickup and drop-off by an entire building. So one side of the building is the transportation drop-off, and one side is parent drop-off and pickup.
So in my 20 years of education, I never worked in a building that had a separate motor room or date gym for our special ed students. This is a really neat opportunity for us to have a separate space just for those students who need that work on their IEP. And I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but up in the corner, I think you can, kind of up here, there is a hook that hangs down, and that's actually to hook a swing up. So if we have students in wheelchairs and they need to get movement, we can put them into a swing and they get some movement in there. This is a great addition to our building for our special ed students who need it. And when it's not being used by our DAPE teacher, it's another space we can utilize here in the building for other things as well.
Probably hard to kind of keep track of where we are at in the building. Like we haven't even gotten down to the classroom wings yet. So after we go past the media center, there's what's called the maker space in the art room. And I think the art room is probably a little bit easier for someone to understand, like an actual art program. We have, Ruben Patnow, I don't know if you were around when Ruben was around. He used to do art in a cart back in the day and passed away a handful of years ago. But it's been quite a while since we had people actually dedicated to art. And at least in my time in 318, which is now 12 or 13 years, we've never had dedicated spaces for just art, which we'll get to next.
We can talk about the makerspace a little bit. So this is a spot.
Turn the light on.
This is the spot where our teachers can check this area out, and they can do science experiments in here. They can do technology lessons with different robotics. So this is an area that we're called the maker space, and it's a spot where we can bring students, bring whole classes down into here, and they're able to rent this area out or check it out, and then they can do different lessons in here. And you'll see the wall over there is another nano wall that opens up to the art room. So this actually can be opened into one big full-size room that we could use for community ed, or if we need a large space to use, we can open up that nano wall and it opens up into one big large room here. You see Mr. Martinson's opening it up there.
You know, in my defense, it's the first time I've opened it because there was stuff on the other side before. And I was giving Sarah, Ms. Anderson, a hard time because she was working in her room alone, so she didn't have a mask on. When I came in, she masked up, which I'm glad that you were here because I think for some we're trying to help people also understand that there will be times when kids will take their face coverings off. I'm not going to go all the way because I don't want to break anything. And also, side note, even as principals, we've been helping staff move things around so we are not dressed up today. I'm actually rocking my new Alex Morgan jersey.
Soccer fans.
Jersey. Oh yeah, for the soccer fans in the audience. The flooring in here will be in, just not right away. Which, again, we teased Sarah and said, well, at least it's the art room where,
We'll see.
yeah, we hope you make messes.
So here we are in the art room, and Miss Anderson's doing a great job getting this prepared for you guys. You can see there's already decorations up on the walls and the cabinets. Things are being stored away. So this could be your art room when you come to school here in a few weeks. All the supplies are being put away into bins. So we are getting ready for you. This is exciting to have our own art room here at West Rapids.
I think I'm starting to see what you meant about trying to have different
Yep. Yeah.
levels of supplies for kids so that they're not all using the same things.
Yep.
You know, it's always good to work in a dig and a plug for the fundraising that we do over the years, because we couldn't even go into the media center yet because the books aren't out. But when we do things like fundraisers, I know I haven't hidden it right away. We have not put money into our media centers for years, a couple $100 a year. And the art program, brand new. So I mean, if parents are wondering why we might fundraise during a year, we will do an excellent job of only asking for things for kids. But I could see things needed for the maker space, the media center, the art room, these new spaces for programs.
A lot of you don't know Mrs. Anderson because she's new, so she'll wave here and say hi to you guys. You'll see her in a few weeks.
So excited.
You don't mess around. You drive every day. How far?
An hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Dedicated.
Dedication. Thank you, Sarah.
Yep, thank you.
I had some staff even asked, what do they call us during the day? And I said, I have no problem with the kids understanding that my first name is Sean, but out of respect during the day, the kids say Mr. Martinson, Mr. Lindner. We just walked through the part that it's like, even more magic happens.
Yeah. So we just walked through what we call the lockdown line. So we just walked through those 4 doors. I'll spin around and show you here. So these 4 doors are called the lockdown line. After school is over, these 4 doors lock down to seal off the classroom side of the building. And this is where we enter the academic classroom space.
For me, I have a very hard time remembering colors in general. So when you come down through this main entry space, to the left side of the hallway is the kindergarten and first grade wing, and we'll walk down there in a minute, and that has a green trim or accent. So that whole wing is actually the same color coordination of green. The second and third grade wing, which is down here to the right, that is a blue accent all the way through. Do you remember what upstairs is again?
It's kind of a teal greenish color.
And it's for our older kids, you're upstairs. It's like you're moving on up.
So we call this area right here, we call this area the hub. And we call it the hub because everything comes together like spokes of a wheel here. So all the different corridors for different grade levels come together in this hub. And then you can go to the gym, music, art, to the office, the servery. But this is where everything kind of comes together. This area will also be a collaborative space, if possible. When there aren't too many kids traveling through this spot, there will be collaborative furniture out here for kids to use, to be utilizing to learn in different modes.
Even when we get to the point where we can start having volunteers come back in, you know, I'm coming from Murphy and Clayton from Southwest. In the past, we really didn't have any space for volunteers to go other than the hallway. Well, now to tell people that you're in the hallway is a lot different now. Like, the space is designed, like, we can make this happen now. And like I said, although we can't do volunteers right now, we will get back to the point that we can, and you will start to feel very valued as a volunteer as well with a space that's even been dedicated for that.
I'm gonna be honest, Sean, I feel like this blue accent up here and this green accent are new. I don't know.
Those ones I've seen, I wish the gray one here, I wish that was teal.
Yeah,
because it would make more sense.
Yeah. You want to show them the playground here?
I figured you would have seen the ceiling colors first since you're so much taller.
A lot closer to the ceiling than you are, that's true.
When we walk together, I see the stuff on the ground first.
So we're walking here to the, what direction is this, Sean?
This would be the east side of the
East side of the building. This is exit and entrance to the playground area. One of the playgrounds, we have two.
If you came from Forest Lake, you'll probably recognize this one, which is another good time to passively work in comments on the referendum.
Yep.
One of the things that did I call that out too much? One thing when we passed the second referendum, it was less than the first, which that is absolutely not a complaint. What we did though is we were able to save funds and money for the district and the community by repurposing the equipment that was already at facilities. So for example, this play structure was at Forest Lake, and we're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars for playground equipment. It's not as inexpensive as people would think. So to the east side, you have a basketball court. Unfortunately, the grass is not there yet, but we do have a gentleman's agreement that we're going to get to use some of those corner lots, at least with the grass on it ready to go. I guess I don't know the exact term I should be using, but as far as anybody with accessibility issues, there are some new structures right in the middle. I suppose it's a little bit difficult to tell, but there's a hard surface port underneath them. We could walk out to it, but I'm afraid we're going to get locked out. I don't know, I thought that was a brilliant idea to reuse the playground structures. I mean, there was the example I've used is if you buy a new house, unless you've won the lottery, you don't throw all your stuff away. I'm pausing, get this one started.
All right.
You might be in the video.
It worked out good with Sarah though, because like I said, she was alone in the room when I went in, and then when I came in, she went through it again.
All right, so we're going down the special ed hallway. We have on the left a couple of speech rooms. So if you are see one of our excellent speech teachers, you'll come down here to see your speech teacher. There's Miss Wren. Say hi, Miss Wren. She's getting her room ready for you guys in a few weeks. She's doing a great job. So we'll continue going down this hallway. Mr. Martinson is actually moving a table down to Miss Miller's room because she wanted a table desk and we had one that she could use. So we're moving that table down right now to her room.
I don't think people ever realize it's kind of like a flea market when we move all the rooms, all the stuff that changes.
Here we have a couple of our DCD classrooms. One here. This is called a sensory room. The lights in here change colors. Blue, pink, red, purple. This is a sensory room for our special ed students who may need some sensory throughout the day. We'll continue down this hallway. We have another one of our special ed teachers' classrooms here, getting ready for you guys, working hard. We'll continue down here, Mr. Martinson.
It's like Christmas, it's a table! Kathy wasn't going to use it.
Kathy, you're the best.
Hey, you need to know that Mr. Lindner was the one who said Miller wants this table.
Mr. Lindner, my treats bin will be full soon.
I like it. Here's Miss Miller right here.
Great, now it's on camera.
She's getting, she's getting the table.
I did warn him, like, none of us are dressed up. We are all working. We're all in
Don't you
nitty gritty and
please, the
dirty.
special ed staff. Give them a break.
That's right. So this is Miss Miller and Miss Fitch's. We call this their special ed suite. They're sharing 2 classrooms. So,
We have another Mrs. Miller in the back.
Mrs. Miller also back here. She's also helping to unpack.
And I mean, it's what we could offer. I know Murphy, the rooms were in the portables.
So you can see they're hard at work unpacking boxes, setting up the room for you guys.
We should have probably explained that if they saw all the TVs in the room, they're not yours. They're the displays that still need to be installed.
At the end of this hallway, that door goes back to the main office,
Wait, they're not.
to Mr. Martinson and I's offices, and to the front with the secretaries. So we're going to go back this way, back to the hub. So if you're trying to keep track of where we are, we're going to go back down this hallway, back to the hub. And again, the hub is where all the corridors kind of come together in one spot.
So this hallway runs parallel to the central hallway.
To give you an example of that, this door here
Yeah.
opens up to the media center. Mr. Martin says we open that. You can see there's our bookshelves and all of our boxes of books ready to be put down there for you guys.
Sweet, somebody moved the boxes for us. The teacher book room boxes got moved back in. But the nice thing is we have Mrs. Sutherland who will work in our media center, and she's really here. She's probably the first one here and the last one to go. But in the past, how it's different now is, think of it as we have a library in our building with somebody that's actually there all day long. So kids can come during the day, even if it's not their full class. One thing we're having to work on now is how do we properly either sanitize books, or how do we make it so that it's safe for kids to still go get them, check them out, and return them. We're still refining how that would make the most sense, and some of it depends on the age level of the kids and how and what they're doing and working on in there. Another bathroom, which the kids will notice the bathrooms are at the end of the wings for the older kids. There are bathrooms in the mid and the end of the hallways, but for the most part, the children, their bathrooms are at the end of the halls. Kindergarten have their own.
For those of you Southwest students, you're looking at that door straight ahead. That'd be Miss Fannon's office. I know a lot of you Miss Fannon. If you're from Forest Lake, Miss Connolly, that's Miss Fannon's office, our student sports specialist.
Hopefully, the copyright police don't hit us and turn the sound off because of the music up there. Sometimes when you post the videos, they take it off. Go down the K1 wing.
Yeah. So we'll go down the K1 wing here next for you. Just to reorient yourself, this is the lockdown line from the main corridor. We're going to take a hard left from the main corridor here to the K1 wing. Here you'll see a couple of different offices. This will be Mr. Rich from North Holmes will be here. Mrs. Miller, one of our Title I teachers. Here we have a couple of our Title I rooms. So if you see Miss Ophelt, Mr. Gurkis is over here for Title I. This will be their rooms. And one neat feature that we didn't share is these support services are right off the hub. And that's designed on purpose so that they are accessible to all the students K through 5 on the hub. They're right in the middle of the school. So the support services of Miss Fannin, Mr. Rich with North Holmes, Title I, they're right here in the middle for everybody to access.
And I'm still trying to figure out how to work some of the light switches. So the new lights are all LED, so we no longer have the fluorescent lights, which anybody that's ever been bothered by the flicker or the hum, that's not here anymore. One of the teachers, she apologized for the boxes and all, and I said, nope, people need to see, like, this is the work it takes to get the school ready.
And you'll notice the green color on the ceiling and the floor, the accents on the side of the wall. So this is a green hallway. Again, this is kindergarten and first grade wing. On the left-hand side are the kindergarten rooms. On the right-hand side are the first grade rooms. We'll swing over here and look in this window. Here's Miss Kangis's first grade. We're working hard in there. So we're continuing down the K1 hallway. You'll see some of the furniture for the collaborative spaces just out in the middle of the hall for right now as we unpack and get things ready.
Brother and sister helping out. I feel like we're all going to get caught into that trap of having to explain why people do or don't have masks on at certain times. Lots of people in their rooms alone. Some are family members working together.
So if you look at this area here, this is going to be, once everything's cleaned up, a collaborative space where students can come out here and work with a volunteer, with a para, with a teacher in smaller groups. For example, this is a kind of a booth and like a little secluded area where students could work with a volunteer or just read to each other.
We've been using hallway spaces for years, but they were spaces that were never designed for the learning that was taking place. Now you look at it and go, there's a pretty big difference between sitting at this table, working on reading or small group instruction than what we were doing before where, and it was, we made do with what we had. Now we have spaces that are designed for what we're trying to do.
And again, first grade's on the right, so if you're a first grade student, your class is over there on the right. If you're a kindergarten student, your classes are on the left.
The windows, I kind of want the things that we've seen so many times now that we don't even notice anymore now because we've been in it so much. The windows to the hallways and just the amount of natural light in the buildings now.
And at the end of each corridor, there are what we call breakout rooms where we have the opportunity to have students again come in with either volunteers, it could be somebody else in the building pulling small groups, it could be a teacher who's co-teaching and pulling a small group into these breakout rooms. The kindergarten K1 wing, theirs is enclosed. Actually, they're all enclosed. This one has lots of glass around it, which is really neat. Lots of natural light. You can see out. These are just great spaces for kids to be learning in.
And right now we're trying to find space as we pack and unpack from, I figure right here we have staff from, Southwest, Forest Lake, Murphy. So we have staff from 3 different buildings. Those were some of the discussions, not that the kids want to hear this, but the adults as far as, when you look in the rooms, you're seeing old furniture. And I would say the same thing I said earlier of, when you move a home, unless you win the lottery, you bring your things with you. So I don't know, you hear random things and it's usually stuff that people hear online that they don't get a chance to fact check. We have chairs, we have desks and tables. Kids are still going to be using both. How we start the year and how we end the year might look 2 different ways, but throughout the course of the year, we're going to do the best we can for our kids, and right now we're prepping and planning for kids to be coming into the building.
This desk on your right is not staying with that,
that one
broken
needs
leg.
to go down.
That one's going to the dumpster. But we're calling some of this furniture that we're reusing legacy furniture. It's a real nice name.
That's a nice way of saying we didn't have other stuff, so we just used it.
Yeah.
I saw teacher desks that were, if I had been a student in this district at the time, they're older than I am. But the wood ones, those are nice desks. Head down the 2nd and 3rd grade hallway.
Yep, so we're back in the hub now. So this is the hub like we talked about before, where all the corridors come together. So we just left the kindergarten and 1st grade corridor. We're heading over to the 2nd and 3rd grade corridor. So if you're a 2nd and 3rd grade student, this is your hallway where you'll be coming.
We do have an elevator, but sorry to burst your bubble. No, we don't give free rides, and kids don't get to use it unless it's a medical or a necessity. Fannon's room, should we pause and hack on her?
Yeah, we should. This is Miss Fannon's room.
We should tease
And
her.
as you can see, Miss Fannon has all her boxes still packed. We like giving Miss Fannon a hard time. So this is her office. So this will be a great spot for you guys to come and visit Miss Fannon, do your lunchtime meetings with her. It's a great space.
I wonder, as you're going down, maybe talk a little bit about lunch as well, just since people are, although this isn't the portion of it, and I know we were going to talk to Polly tomorrow sometime, that one thing we need to do in order to have kids come back is we need to decrease the amount of kids in the cafeteria. So there will be days where kids eat their lunches in their room, and there will be days where they eat their lunches in the cafeteria. So we'll actually be running 2 menus. There will be a menu for the days they eat in their room, and a menu for the days that they eat in the lunchroom. Really, it's what we're used to. If our kids are eating lunch at school, we know that there's a menu. We just have to figure out what they're eating that day. Unless you're like Mr. Martinson when he was a kid. My mom trained me pretty well that you just ate whatever was there. So as a kid, I wouldn't necessarily know what was coming, but I can quite frankly eat everything except for black olives, blood sausage, and there's one third thing that I don't like, but everything else I can eat. So
Well, luckily we don't serve blood sausage here at school.
Yeah.
All right, so as we came down this corridor, you'll see on the left-hand side was the second grade rooms. The second grade rooms go all the way down over here, and this is a second grade room here as well. And this is our breakout collaborative space for second grade. So this is all the furniture is still in plastic, getting put together. Again, this will be spots where kids can come out of their classroom. During the time of COVID, they'll be socially distanced, masked up, to work collaboratively out here in these spaces. It's a neat design for our building we're going to utilize. And then right here, also in the second grade wing, is another collaborative space that students can come out. And having those windows in the rooms out to the hallways, that's a purposeful architectural design so the teachers can see out into the breakout spaces so they can see students who are out there who may be working on things.
as far as crisis and safety planning, I mean, I think they heard us talk a couple times if they watch all of them about different lockdown lines and barriers, and there are things behind the scenes that we don't necessarily put on a video for everybody to see. But being kind of the guy in the district that focuses a lot on our crisis prevention, even I was an absolute advocate for the windows into the hallways down the teaching wings.
This is a second grade classroom. This teacher
This is making me jealous.
She's doing a great, this is Miss Pomplin's room. She's doing a great job getting things ready.
Take a peek at the lockers.
Sure.
Shh, don't tell her we were in here. No. We do have lockers of which we put dimensions online at one point. We'll share them again as people get going. But something to keep in mind, and I always like to pick on kids that I've had before. When I was at Murphy one year, there was a family that the kids always came with one bag of their stuff and one bag of their toys. And although we always remind people not to bring toys, now there's like a perfect example of why we just don't even have the space. Like, we don't have hooks in the hallway for closets and cupboards. We have a few months, hopefully, until we have to worry about the winter, but we're going to have to do some tinkering and figuring on that. But there is storage space above. However, the storage space above, this is the classroom storage space in all of the rooms. Getting really good at the lights now.
There we go, lights.
Yeah. But the nice thing about the lockers is that they are vented as well. They have a tray in the bottom to catch any dirt or debris from the boots and shoes. And having had lice in my family once, this is really nice that the materials will all be separated by their own locker.
So we've had a few parents ask about hooks in the hallways like we had at Southwest, Murphy, and Forest Lake. Students will have their own locker inside their classrooms, so there's no more hooks in the hallways. They'll have their own lockers.
You know, there's so many things that were never designed for COVID that are now coming in very handy. And some of it is that our student materials, we have a better way to separate things. The hallways are much bigger, the airflow and the air exchange is much better. Like I said, we need a master class on the light switches.
So we're back out in the second, third grade hallway, headed down towards the third grade classrooms.
So the one, I mean, each wing has something a little bit different and unique. The second, third, fourth, and fifth, they have that flexible space in the middle, but then they also have a flexible space down at the end of the hallways.
Mrs. Meese working hard. Mrs. Meese in there. She's been here working hard every day. She's doing a great job.
In some respects, I'm jealous that, Clayton, you'll know quite a few more of the kids. But in some respects, I think I have it made because I get to meet many, many, many more new families and kids.
Yeah, you get to expand your base of knowledge of families. That is true. So this would be the third grade breakout collaborative space at the end of the hallway. You can see they're still painting and doing different things to get this spot ready for you guys in a few weeks.
Still working on the wall, which is really nice because they've got that padding in it where you can. Actually, this is probably it right here. It's not rubber, but it almost feels like a rubber mat that goes on the wall. Wonder if we can peek out the door at the playground. This one's from Forest Lake as well, isn't it? I think this is the little one from Forest Lake.
Yes.
One of our Forest Lake kids was here and she was pumped that her little playground was still here.
You need to grab this off here, I think.
Start calling this two principal productions. I don't think we're going to have fancy edits in here. Thank you. So the upside and the downside. The upside is lots of space. The downside is we still need to get that grass caught up. So we'll be really creative this year, at least to get that grass to catch and grow.
Okay, this is the smaller of the two playgrounds. This is more than likely a kindergarten and first grade. You can see there's fencing going up. I don't know if you can see that because of the light. There's fencing going up around this one, so it's enclosed for the safety of the younger students here in this playground.
And that pour and play, I mean, having sat in on the meetings on why we don't have the complete pour and play like those little paths, it's just cost prohibitive. Again, when you look at all the schools that were being remodeled, hundreds of thousands of dollars if we had elected to do that pour and play. I mean, I've seen it in some playgrounds and it's really nice, but it's just not something that we can afford. Same thing with those flexible spaces and breakout areas. This one's a little bit easier to see the room because I think it's either this one or the one upstairs. They really haven't filled it in yet. There we go.
Okay.
You're doing a great job driving.
Yeah.
I'll leave you alone.
So again, we're at the end of the third grade, third grade corridor. This is the third grade area. So if you're a third grader, this is where you'll be living for the next school year. Now you can see here on the end of the corridor, we have one of these breakout rooms. These are enclosed with a door, so it's made for to be a quiet work area. Where in the hallway may be a spot where it's a little more, a lot of work happening, kids walking by, but this area is enclosed, so some work can be done in here that won't be disturbed.
Well, and I had mentioned earlier about the not new furniture. Classrooms or existing rooms and spaces, we brought our items with us. Anything that was new, we did purchase new furniture. So this, for example, and the room behind me, these are areas that they were new.
Do you want to go up here or up over there?
Yeah, let's go up the stairs. Okay. I think they're still doing the flooring down on that end.
I'll take the cart if you want.
Yeah. Who gets blamed if we drop which part? So we do have stairways. Again, we talked about that there is an elevator, and I think a lot of times we take that for granted. When I was the principal at Cohasset, we did not have an elevator, and that was a facility that actually had 2 to 3 stories. There was the main floor, there was a landing, and then there was a third floor. So if anybody couldn't walk upstairs, they couldn't go to school there.
And they couldn't go to the library.
Yeah, and one year we had a student have a really bad break in their leg. And that came down to the poor family. The dad was like, I will carry him up the stairs. Just don't make him switch schools. And we figured it out, but you shouldn't have to pick your school based on if you can go up or down stairs. So now we have elevators, and Cohasset is now 1 story.
So the 4th and 5th grade wing is a mirror of the 2nd and 3rd grade wing. They sit right on top of each other, so they look exactly the same.
So why a 2nd story? Funny you should ask. If you ever look at the layout of our 2 facilities, both east and west, if we had 3 ground level floors, we would have had no space on our campus to play, and we call that green space. You can tell he called in a team to put his room together. I would tease him. You know, you would, I don't know what people would think about, like how we unpack and pack rooms. We had family members. It's not just one person trying to pull off all that work. You know, the girls soccer team, they had their practice canceled, and some of those kids masked up and came up, and they were helping break down boxes. And
so this is the 5th grade wing. So if you're a 5th grader, down this end of the wing will be your classrooms, your breakout spaces. 5th grade's down here. So this is the 5th grade area, 5th grade breakout, 5th grade classrooms are down here.
The beautiful thing is if we didn't say 5th grade right away, now they can rewind it. That was 5th grade that we just walked through. Because now we're going a little bit backwards. Usually we don't come from this direction. Very, very similar to down below though. Different color scheme. And I don't normally notice colors and things like that, but even the accents in the walls, that they match. And that the floor carpet matches the ceiling. There's a definite flow, and even for our younger kids that coloring helps. But I know even on a normal day we have adults that are helping guide traffic. And this year even more so, people helping everybody get to where they need to get to.
So now you're entering the 4th grade area. So these are 4th grade classrooms, 4th grade breakout spaces, 4th grade collaborative spaces. Up here on the 2nd floor. You'll notice up here they have some different furniture. So they have these chairs with little side desks on them. We didn't have those down in the 2nd and 3rd grade. So that's only in the 4th and 5th grade up here. We have some of these different types of furniture for the older students.
The hub has a few, but even that it's where they are at least as of now. So yeah, it's definitely. So we both gone on 20 years in public education?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I've seen this before and I've seen these models, but never anywhere in northern Minnesota anyway. That idea of those windows open, you can't tell until you're here how much difference that makes, how much better you feel throughout the course of a day where you're actually getting light versus, well, fake light.
And lots of windows in our building, which is good, and top of the line HVAC systems for heating and cooling to help with those big windows, letting in cold, letting in warm. It's the top of the line, brand new building with those kind of things. We can take a look down here, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like we've looped through everything, but right now their tiling's still up there. Which, if they're tiling today, it means it'll be ready tomorrow. Maybe peek out at the playground.
Yeah, so here you have breakout space, 4th grade. You can see some of the different furniture. Again, we have kind of the booths there for students to be in. You can notice the lights turned on by themselves as we walked into this spot. Here we have like a 6-person table. You might see it like a Starbucks or a Caribou. Or kids can work as a whiteboard there, so they can put ideas up there.
Now. They have a Starbucks up
Yeah.
there. No, we said like a Starbucks.
Yeah. So no coffee being served. Here's a eagle-eye view of the playground, the basketball court outside.
This is what it looks like for now. I can't imagine a year, 2, 3 years down the road. Never too early to work in the dig or the plug for. Boy, there's some space out there. It looked awfully nice for a hockey rink.
Yeah, right next to that basketball court. Might fit right there someday.
I think for now it'd probably be better to do a separate video for parent pickup and drop off.
I would agree.
I don't know how long this one's gotten.
If you're still watching, thanks for sticking with
Yes.
us.
I'm not sure how many steps we put in. So that's the nickel tour of the building. I'm sure there's some spaces we met, and it will look different even by the time kids come next week. When you see the progress, you understand when they say this area will be ready in time. Because we'll come in and be like, we're not going to be ready, or this part won't be ready. And then you come in 24 hours later and it's completely done. So this building will be ready for kids on September 8th. When families come through on what we're calling self-guided tours, partly because we can't guarantee who's going to be there at those different times, because I know you're here some nights and I can't be here some, that this building will look different even by next week.
Yes.
The gym even, it sounds like that'll be ready on Monday. We may still be limiting who can go in at that time, but it's crazy to think how fast this is going now toward the end.
So I want to zoom in here for you. We've had a few comments from people in the community about the railing on the balcony here at West and East. So you can see there's the railing and the coverings that go across that railing on the balcony. And that railing, I would say, is probably up to Mr. Martinson's chest.
Yeah, for me, it's...
Yeah, probably up to my belly or so. So It's a high railing that no one's just going to fall over. It's very safe. It's a high railing, so that's to ease some concern about having 2 stories here at Weston.
Yeah.
Even East Rapids are the
And
same.
this is our 4th and 5th graders upstairs. Think of anything we missed?
I don't think so.
Well, it'll look different next time, but this at least gives family and kids an idea of what it's looking like right now. The main corridors, the classrooms, that shouldn't change very much, but some of those other spaces like the media center we're still working on, and the art room's pulling together.
So when you come for your self-guided tour, if we were to go behind us now, but down where that balcony is, you walk down those stairs, you end up back in the hub. And then you would end up walking out back in the building.
So although you could get lost, you wouldn't get lost for very long, and we have staff. Except for on a tour, this building will be humming. So it's, yeah, I get lost at our high school still, but here, you figure it out pretty quick. You know, the lockers don't have locks on them, so that's one less thing. The kids do not have to worry about locks on their lockers. And we really do. Between the 2 of us, if it's 40 plus years in public education, we do this for a living. We think about the kids first, and we make this work for them. I know you've got, how many, 2-3 elementary age kids, and I've got 2 elementary age kids.
Yep.
So we definitely have a vested interest for our career, but also that we have children, and it's what we do.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this virtual tour. Hopefully we get to see you next week on the self-guided tours and wave. And if not, we'll see you on the first day of school, September 8th. See you later, everybody.